Alright, so Dokkan last night dropped the Battle-Hardened Formidable Foes fight, which is a very difficult fight. I mean, these fights are the hardest ones in the game, I would probably say. These bosses are really insane. If we go ahead and just take a quick look here, man, they're basically doing like 3 to 4 mil damage super attacks through most of them. And I mean, later on in these fights, they start hitting like 7, 8 million. And then Kid Buu, when he's fully built up, this boy hits for 10 mil. So these fights are very tough. And I know a lot of people may be struggling with these fights, right? These are shorter fights, so I wanted to bring up a couple of characters that I think could be actually useful in a lot of different situations. Now, it is dependent on how your rotations go. It is dependent on, RNG and stuff like that with some of these characters. We're going to be talking about some like older, potentially more common characters that people will have, whether they got them even a few years ago or like this past year. And then we'll be talking about some of these like more modern characters that will have these mechanics that could really hold on these bosses. But I just want to just bring up a bunch of different options just in case you haven't tried some of these characters out, because a lot of them are closer to being gimmicky characters than anything, but these short fights could really actually bring out their utility. So at least in my experience, these fights usually take like a max of 4 or 5 turns, so you could easily bring a character on, and then like if they're in the second rotation, you float them off after they do what their kind of ability is. They won't be back after a while, so you should be good to go in with a lot of these different fights. First and foremost, again, let's go ahead and talk about Infat Buu. He is a more modern character. This character has been on a lot of different banners in the past year. He did come out in 2024, but I just wanted to start off with a very obvious good option. And I mean, this guy is just a character that will have a guarantee, or not a guaranteed initial super attack, basically a revive skill that can activate whenever you want it to. So you put this guy in slot 1 and he will pretty much just instantly die, but he could revive with full HP at any situation. So I mean, even if this guy is in slot 3, he takes a super attack, he will likely die. Worst case scenario, he will be able to heal you quite a bit of HP, 20% HP if you fall really low on HP. And he has this healing as well, so he's providing a lot of different abilities. But the most important thing is that after this guy revives, you'll enter the next turn at full HP. But when he comes back around, he has his active skill, which is a Ghost Usher ability. So this character in short fights is always going to be useful. This is not necessarily a gimmicky character, but you revive with him, then you will be able to, actually get his other ability. And with the Ghost Usher. And the thing about him is that, it could be useful to get some of these revive passives up. Let's think of a character like Age-OUI Goku, right? Where Age-OUI Goku, once his revive is up, he gets extra stats. Blue Evolution Vegeta, when his revive is up, he gets extra stats, right? A lot of these different characters may get abilities once a revival skill is procced, and that doesn't necessarily have to be their own. And this Buu is one of these characters like that, where, when his revive is procced, right, he also gains this ability to survive KO attacks, which could be useful in a lot of different situations, right? So if like there's one attack at the very end that he would die to, he would actually live it. It's very niche, but you could definitely see this in play, especially if there's a spot where there's just one attack. Like you could put this guy there and he is pretty much guaranteed to live that, which again, not a too useful ability by itself, but it's really the revive plus the Ghost Usher that's going to be really, really good. If you're running this guy with Buuhan, like in Buuhan is really good in this, fight. He's not necessarily on the list because, like, and he's going to be a character we talk about later. He's a debuffer that can debuff twice in a lot of these fights. Give him all these orbs and Buuhan is going to not only heal a lot, but he'll just like nuke the enemy. So there's a lot of good options to actually use this Infat Buu. Very good character as well. So just like all around, just like a W. We're bringing up this guy next. So this is a very random character, the Super Saiyan Zealous Roar Goku. I mean, this guy came out like what, 2016 is his SSR release date, which is crazy. Now he actually got an Extreme Z Awakening last year in October during the Scouter Vegeta celebration. And the thing about this guy is he's basically playing a similar role to Kid Buu, right? Where he survives KO attacks guaranteed up to once within a turn. obviously he's not really good defensively, right? So once he actually, takes this first attack, he'll basically get one shot. But then after that, he has a guaranteed dodge for the same turn. And then he'll just get some extra sets there. Then when you enter the next turn, he'll recover 59% HP. Now, the reason why this could be so good is, again, we'll take a look at some of these other characters that you'll be using, like more commonly, like this guy. Using this guy plus this guy, unlike, if you have the new Vegito team, or just in general, if you have these guys on a team together, this character could use his active skill when HP is 70% or less. So then you could get situations where this guy activates this pass. Let's say you get this guy in the second rotation. He activates this. Then you skip to the next rotation. You get Super Saiyan 3 Goku's giant ape form. He'll cancel out the boss super attacks. He'll go Super Saiyan 4 and then start multi-turn supporting and everything like that. So that's like a really good thing. Or like, a lot of characters with HP conditions, maybe, this guy, you'll actually be able to get his transformation into Super Saiyan 3 Goku. If it's like he's turn 2 and this guy's turn 3, you can get Super Saiyan 3 Goku out and he'll actually be really, really good in these new fights, in these shorter content, right? There's a lot of characters that may have HP restrictions that you'll be able to meet that, again, especially like HP restrictions that are like under 70% or so. I'm trying to think of any other characters that could really match that. At the top of my head, there's not really a lot of them. I guess like, you could get that ability off and then UI Goku's revive skill will be available if you have him on the next turn. So it's like, oh, okay, I basically quote unquote revive with this Goku and then I can get UI Goku's revive skill next turn. So I'm guaranteed safe for 2 turns, right? That's kind of the idea behind this guy. And again, you do want to be careful. If the fight goes on a bit too long and he comes back, he will probably get you killed. So he's not as consistent of an option as some other options that you could run. Like, it just really is dependent on your team build. But if you really need a 6th character, like again, if you're running the Teq Vegito team and you're like, okay, I'm a new player, I summon a Teq Vegito, I got Teq Vegito, I have UI Goku, but I need like a 6th option on the team. You have this guy, you could definitely use him. I don't think he's reliant on dupes. If you just have one copy of this guy, as long as you easy him, he'll be fine because he's not there for damage, he's not there to tank, he's there to die, then heal you, and then get some HP conditions off, right? So all in all, this guy, it will just be an actual pretty decent option in a lot of these different situations. So maybe closer to like these earlier fights, but I guess, you could say here against this greater Vegeta AoE, this guy will survive, right? I guess it won't be that great though, because he'll basically, this fight probably not too good actually, because he'll AoE this guy, then he'll be at 0 HP, but then you'll have to dodge or else you'll just die to double-digit damage, right? But I think in these first 2 fights, you could definitely get away with this guy for sure. It's just really that AoE that could be an issue. Another option that we could talk about is the Teq Androids. So actually tagged someone about this, and this person is a Teq Androids fanatic. This guy loves the Teq Androids, bro, and he actually no items the Vegeta stage with double Teq Androids lead. So I mean, again, here's in Buu, as I talked about as well, you have Buuhan right here, really good option, debuffing, infusing the Masu, Tech fusion the Masu, debuffing. This guy, I didn't bring him up on the list, but he does have 80% reduction starting off. But I mean, this guy ran double Teq Androids and no item this stage. Because again, the thing about these fights is a lot of them actually do Ki Blast super attacks, which is really funny. Like, let us literally bring up all these different fights, and then I'll show you guys like the amount of Ki Blast super attacks we see. Ki Blast super, Ki Blast super, Ki Blast, Ki Blast right there. This fight has you get multiple Ki Blast super attacks here. This fight also does have multiple Ki Blast super attacks right there. But then furthermore, again, these characters have the Ghost Usher from 1 turn. Facing an enemy's HP is 50% or 35% or more, you could just delay the enemy's attack. And again, guaranteed nullification against Ki Blast supers. If you use these guys correctly, they are going to be really good here. And I think that they could be like a little fun gimmicky character you could use, especially with the Ki Blast nullification. In terms of them tanking normals, I guess that's the only thing that could be dangerous, because these bosses are doing like 1 million normals pretty consistently. But you could definitely find situations where they're not going to be in trouble. I mean, literally, chaotic, no items this fight with both of them on the team. So I think that in a majority of scenarios it'll be perfectly fine. And then you have In Buu's Ghost Usher going around. This is very funny. I just wanted to show this. And this is the first clear with them where he ran them on the Vegito team right here, no item run. So I mean, yeah, Chaotic is someone who does a lot of these like challengey fun runs. So I just wanted to bring this up. The Teq Androids as a useful option here, which is hilarious to me. Next we have, I think, yeah, I brought up both Janembas here. Inch Janemba is a very old character. He's just very basic. You put him in slot 1, he has 90% chance to dodge. He will just be safe for you in most scenarios. He's not really gonna worry. He's just straight up instantly is good to go. Even though he's facing extreme class enemies, the thing about this guy is do you want him to dodge anyways. With 90% dodge, he'll be good. And I really brought him up because I brought up Physical Janemba. Again, the thing about Physical Janemba, great chance to nullify Ki Blast Supers. Guess what all these bosses are doing? So many of these bosses are doing Ki Blast Super attacks. There's been a lot of Ki Blast Super attacks in the past few months. And even then, he still has a 50% chance to dodge just any super attack on top of that. So this guy as a slot 1 character will be very useful for you. He also has a rage mode, which you won't see. If you somehow get to turn 6, you could see that. And I think you could arguably see that in this fight right here. I've gotten Teq Vegito out in this fight because, again, this guy's healing and this guy's healing. So you could theoretically see a turn 6 with Physical Janemba, and then you could cancel out the super in this phase. I think only in this part of the fight, because these guys have the most HP and these guys have the healing that they could do. So you could also maybe stall a little if you're really like you're kind of playing on thin ice a little bit. But if you do stall and you can get that guaranteed, you could just completely cancel out this Kid Buu super, which, you know, will always be a good thing. But yeah, no, Physical Janemba, another pretty good option that, you know, again, he's an LR character, but he's on the Super Saiyan 4 Goku banner. So if you summon for him, you could have probably gotten this guy or in the past as well, right? This guy's obviously a Redstone character. After this, I just have 3 basic characters. AWI Goku. He has guaranteed dodge. He has the revival skill that I talked about earlier. If his own revival skill is activated, he gets another turn of guaranteed dodge. I mean, yeah, no, just a turn 1 guaranteed dodge in a fight that'll last like 4 or 5 turns. Like these bosses instantly hit you again for 4 or 5 mil damage potentially. Is very useful, right? Obviously, it's going to be a very useful ability. Beast Gohan, he's probably one of the most consistent characters in the game for this fight. Discard plus 60% damage reduction, builds up to 80% reduction. Turn 3 has the target mechanic, which he's pretty much just invincible in this fight with his target mechanic up. Like, by the time the fight ends, you're not getting like to turn 7 in these fights. There's just no way. Again, using him on the Vegito team, this guy is absolutely incredible. You could also use him as a leader yourself, right? I mean, this guy plus into Blue Evolution Vegeta with his turn 1 guard, AWI Goku with his turn 1 guaranteed dodge. And then, you know, obviously you'll have both Beast Gohans. You could go ahead and dip into the Master Student Bond category, Miraculous Awakening, and then you can see there's a lot of different other potential options here, such as Teq Beerus, I believe, is on this team. Though Teq Beerus, he does want these teams. I mean, Beast Gohan is on Exploding Rage, is he not? So that could work as well. Poor STR Blue Evolution, man. Imagine he's yeah, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Teq UI Goku, right? So there are options like a double Beast Gohan team, and again, worst case scenario, he'll still protect your entire rotation, so that's good. Teq Broly, obviously, he's just invincible during this fight. Like, it's not one with guard and 78% damage reduction when he's transformed. Does he, or 76%, my bad. I don't think there's situations where he really dies. Pretty much not. Like, especially once he starts, what's it called? No, I mean, yeah, especially just once he's in slot 1. Slot 2 maybe could be an issue because he no longer has guard, but yeah, he also does have the ability to nullify an attack, which could be really nice. But yeah, Teq Broly, also a very good option. Duh. Now, from here, we'll just take a look here at the past units that I've released in the past few months and kind of just talk about whether they could be useful. If you got Diamond Goku and Glorio, they're both actually useful here. Diamond Goku, turn 1, 90% dodge with 50% reduction. I've used this guy at 55%. He does absolutely incredible these fights. Diamond Goku just like cooks so really well. Glorio, these fights could be debuffed in a lot of different phases. So he does lower attack and defense. He'll do like 5 super attacks and lower their attack and defense. Multi-turn support, leads a very strong team. Glorio's cooking really well. Esther, Gogeta, and Ijo Vegito, in terms of them in this fight, this guy again is debuffing basically 4 times. He's against an extreme class enemy, so he's guaranteed guarding. He'll get 30% reduction. The only time this guy died for me is in the grade 8 Vegeta phase. But if you're able to get him past that phase, or maybe he's not even in there, because this guy's not really tanky. So you could, I've had turns where I one-turn this guy. Like if you get this guy just like defeated before Gogeta's even on rotation, then like this guy will still clear the event, right? Really good. I've had many turns where I fall under 50% HP and I get his guard plus his scouter, and he's supporting defense too, which is always useful. And worst case scenario, like the worst case scenario is obviously he takes a super, but no matter what, he's always guaranteed living the normal attacks as a floater. But yeah, I've had many situations where this activates, right? I've had many situations where I get Super Saiyan 4 Goku's heal as well, but this is like not uncommon to see these fights because he just hits so hard instantly. So the fact of the matter is, like, you get this off and he's invincible, and he's providing a scouter for 2 turns, which will be extremely useful in these shorter fights, right? Basically just knowing where these mega super attacks are, so you could put your actual tank unit there, is a huge utility option for this guy. I like him quite a lot in these fights, actually. Again, this guy could definitely be runnable here. Let's see. I mean, you could use into Ultimate Gohan. He might be a little dangerous. Teq Gogeta I use in the final phase because of the fact that he's type advantage here against this AoE. He definitely is a good option here still, but he's not like a best option, I think you could say, because it might be hard, it might be uncommon to see his transformation. I think this Gohan, this Broly, obviously, like Broly's guard plus 60% reduction with his domain up, he'll be good to go. He's also healing. This guy though, he has high chance to stun on his 12 key. You got this guy at 24 key, guaranteed additional super, 18 key, additional with a great chance, hidden potential to stun. These bosses can be stunned. This guy can be stunned. This guy can be stunned. These later phases can't be stunned. Again, we can see some of these phases here do have the option to get stunned. I guess, a lot of these later fights, this guy could be stunned. This guy could be stunned. Like later on in these fights, you definitely cannot stun them anymore. But by that time, you can get this guy's standby out. The standby could be used on turn 3, and he's invincible in this standby. So that's another good thing, right? Could be very useful there. Inspel Evolution will obviously be a good option. This character, outside the AoE turn, will also be a good option because turn 1, they are not dying. This 17 and Golden Frieza. Turn 1, they're literally unkillable. So, yeah. Broly Trio you could definitely use if you have a Rainbow Orb Changer around him. Beyond that, though, I think that's... I mean, in fact, we talked about Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku will be useful here. Like, instantly turn 1, he's not taking damage. Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much like the biggest characters I kind of want to mention, obviously, of the characters I released this past year. In terms of, these gimmicky characters, I think, like, these characters that I bring up, I think are probably some of the characters that I would group up and say, yeah, these are the best characters for this event. Obviously, Diamond Goku, I think you can include in there. I think you can include some other characters that, I talked about earlier. But that's that. Let me know what y'all think. And I think, by the way, I think these characters could still be, at least most of them could still be really useful and good, even when we get harder versions of these stages, which these do drop on the 13th. So in about a week, we'll see what happens. I appreciate y'all for watching the video. Hopefully this helped you. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.